Why do we play games? Some people want to focus on mechanics, others a story. Others just want a world they can disappear into for a while. But no matter which category you fall into, the root reason is the same. You play games because you want to be entertained. And in that regard, Mirror's Edge Catalyst absolutely works. Running across rooftops, making these fun paths for yourself and getting those Nathan Drake moments. It is all really fun, if at least for a short time. But it's also one of those games where you keep thinking, man, this could have been something really incredible if everything clicked in the way it was supposed to. Take the story, for instance. On paper it sounds great, a massive corporate controlled city with a rigid caste system, and our protagonist is fighting within that structure. It's not a new idea by any means, but there's still so much potential in that setup. The world itself is actually fairly unique, and the idea of humans running all over and passing messages and deliveries to each other feels really punk. It could have been really cool. But the game never really lets you see the world it keeps describing. You hear about inequality, the employees being crushed by the system, but you never actually see it. You're always running through these clean, hyper-polished environments. There's glass everywhere, the walls, the ceilings, the floors, and it's all spotless. Even putting aside the actual environmental design, the Frostbite engine is so goddamn good, man. The fidelity mixed with these scenes makes for a really pretty screenshot, but that's about it. There's not anything deeper to it. It's also pristine that the darker themes of the story don't land the way they need to because you never really see the dichotomy. It feels way too PG, too sanitized for a story that's supposed to be about oppression and social hierarchy. You just end up with this massive disconnect between what the characters in the narrative is telling you and what the world actually shows you. Don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting a Mirror's Edge game to have me running through a world as grim as Night City or anything, but a little bit of darkness, especially with a story like this, wouldn't go amiss. And then there's the open world. It's perfect for a parkour-focused game, and it's a suitable clear-cut way to improve on the first game. Instead of these small levels, you've now got a whole open city to explore, find routes through and master at your own pace. But the reality is that the world doesn't really evolve as you learn it. All these routes end up blending together, and the environments aren't ever really super new. The scattered collectibles and the variations of those delivery races start to meld into one, or in worst case scenarios you just ignore them because the animations take too long or you're bored of seeing them. I have a bit of a tinfoil hat theory that this game was supposed to be something that rivaled Ubisoft's Far Cry series with the open world and these multiple little checkpoints to snag your attention on the way to the next story objective. Because Far Cry 3 came out the year before this game's production was announced, and at the time, that Far Cry 3 formula was an extremely fresh and engaging way to manage an open world map. It feels like EA saw that game and decided to try and apply that formula to Mirror's Edge. Again, not bad on paper, but the execution was lacking to say the least. It's such a shame because the movement system is actually pretty fantastic. It's smooth and super responsive, and you have these moments of pure flow state where you can have a lot of fun, but the playground built around it doesn't really rise to the same level. Combat has similar issues. It's supposed to be this momentum-driven system where you can maintain your flow and your speed and use it to your advantage, but it never really blends into the core movement. It always ends up feeling like this disjointed additional step. I really don't think it helps that the skill tree is quite limited as well. You only really learn one new move, and the rest of these skills are just damage amps. They could have incorporated some type of combo system or button inputs for different moves, just anything that's deeper than what we got. Combine how bad the combat feels with the arenas, I guess you'd call them. I don't know, they're always really minimal and not really exciting to move around in, but anyway, combine the combat with the arenas and you end up with a gameplay section that whenever you're forced into, it ends up feeling like you're hitting a speed bump. Everything ends up slowing down and you can't help but wish you could just keep on running and completely ignore the fight. And I'd even say that might be a copied sentiment from the first game. You know, you should always try and run away from fights, except you actively get rewarded with XP for fighting, so I don't think that's the case. Or if it is, they need to give some type of reward for running away. Either way, combat, no bueno. Looking at positives, I think one area where Catalyst actually excelled was in its online components. Those user-made race routes, you used to be able to see other players' ghosts racing with you, the online leaderboards, hacking billboards and leaving your own player tag. All of that ended up giving the game a sense of community and competition that the single-player experience couldn't pull off on its own. There was something deeply inviting about trying to shave off milliseconds from your run because someone else had managed to beat your time. But once the server shut down, that entire component vanished. What remains are these empty remnants of what used to be lively challenges. Without leaderboards, without real competition, those races are just kind of there. You can still have fun, and you can do them and get XP, but like I said, the skill tree is so shallow that XP is kind of meaningless. It's a loss that I think really highlights how much the game relied on other players to bring some life and vibrance to the world. And honestly, all of this just makes me wish that EA would give Mirror's Edge the same treatment that they're currently giving to Skate. Imagine a modern version of the franchise, an open world that actually feels alive and varied, multiplayer that lets players run together, challenge each other, build routes, discover tricks, Hey, maybe they could even put in evolving districts, areas that actually show off all walks of life in this universe. Some type of map editor, a sandbox where players can drop in and out, experiment together, and just, somewhere to have fun. The foundation's already there. I think Catalyst clearly shows at least that much. It just needs another chance and a clearer, more concise commitment to actually fleshing out all the ideas that the world hints at. Again, Mirror's Edge Catalyst is fun, but it should have been extraordinary. It's a game that's full of ideas that spark excitement right up to the point where you realise none of them actually go as far as they should and end up leaving you and, truthfully, the whole package feeling a little bit hollow. What we got really wasn't bad by any means, it just wasn't enough. Catalyst will always feel like wasted potential, a missed opportunity waiting for someone to finally do it justice, and I really hope that EA actually creates a follow-up for this series and they finally deliver the cohesive vision that Catalyst only partially achieved.